Hello, it's Not a Nerd, and this is another time lapse working on the space project. I've changed the name to Solar Goldrush now, though I might change it again, I don't know. So basically I'm just going to do, this is a time lapse everyone's doing, just trying to work out the textures for the background, looking at some documentation, thinking about the skybox. So I'll go on to further in this. I sort of had a good idea for a potentially interesting algorithmic way of making the illusion of infinite space. I'll go into that in about 4 or 5 minutes. At this point I think I had mobile controls. I wanted to just see if that could be done, not test it out yet, but it's in the pipeline basically, so just doing that, just adding in a library to do it. Again, experimenting with skybox stuff again, that's still proving to be a bit of a headache. Updated the readme, so I was updating the actual ideas for the game while I go along, so basically just trying to figure out again the mechanics and the actual gameplay elements. Yeah, I've created a separate GitHub repo for this. I want to make it private. Basically, this isn't for that. I suppose basically, I do probably want to try, if possible, to monetize this. If I can, I need to make money. I'm a game developer. I can't live off nothing. But anyway, this is the point where I get onto the algorithm. So let me just describe what I was thinking about here. So the basic idea I wanted to do was to make it so that the only space that you traverse is only. So basically, I can't generate obviously an infinite universe straight away. I just have to mimic that happening. So where I decided to get around this, or figure out an algorithm for it, is that every 1,000 miles, which I'll have to figure out how to actually measure that, but basically every 1,000 miles it will generate a new star cluster or galaxy, if it will. We'll have a function that will check where the player is every 5 seconds, and then I'll obviously have to store each sector, if you will, that is generated, because what if you go back into another one? That's going to be the hard part. So this is what I was thinking about here. Like, it's got a player position X, Y, Z, or minus, like whatever the value is. I think this can go on for infinity, but I'm not 100% sure, but I'll have to check it obviously. But in theory, it could work. So every 1,000 miles, store the previous 1,000 miles to some JSON file or something like that, because you need storage for it. Generate a new batch when it gets stored, and store it, push it to an array. So we'll have to an array with a bunch of objects for because there's a lot of DOM objects. So you'll see just in the right hand corner there, everything's getting written to the DOM directly. So that is a lot of primitives, because there's only spheres, but there's a lot of primitives for the canvas to render. So again, I'm not 100% sure how this will work, but the way I've tried to get around this is say, basically it'll create a new one at 1,000 miles, and then at 1,200 it will actually display them. So they'll only be ever one time when there is 2 sectors for a limited amount of time in display. Now, I'm not sure if that's 100% right, but basically that's the idea of this algorithm, is that basically it's an illusional algorithm for creating infinite space. I'm actually writing it in pseudocode. It's not actual JavaScript. It just makes it faster to think of the ideas, get everything down, and then I'll just like every 5 seconds I'll check for the position of the player, call the generate space sector function or whatever it's going to be, which is that pseudocode solution I'm coming up with there. Yeah, so that's what I was doing. My housemate came along and gave me a bang on the head. Yeah, well, Johnny was helping me out. I see a bit of some names and just bouncing some ideas off him. He's not a programmer, but I think he wants to learn a bit about it, and he's just got a pretty good logical, analytical mind, so just bouncing up some ideas off him. Probably leave it at that, really. There's not much more to report. Just basically been hacking away on it when I can outside of work time. Yeah, it's starting to look like something more. This is just me I'm not 100% sure if I'll be able to store these objects in an object, but well, I'll have to see. I was thinking maybe just like write to JSON or something, and then you can just possibly just write to JSON and then just. But one thing I'm gonna have to really think about actually is the fact that maybe you want to go back to a universe that you've already created or you've already traversed a certain amount of it. That again, we're talking about having to have a way to retrieve from a back end, so that's further down the line. We'll just take one thing at a time. Yeah, and then I was just writing a note to say loading the previous sectors will be the really hard bit. There's going to be a lot of memory issues there potentially, a lot of because basically every time you're basically loading up a solar system, which is basically 800 or 900 objects, which are then written to the DOM. Now, that's a lot of stuff to write to the DOM, and how will I handle the transition between one state to another? I mean, obviously, I've tried to deal with that with it actually generates it before you get to the next one, so assuming the draw distance is okay, it should be right. And then this is basically me just flying around where it's at now. I've asked Donny to do a HUD for the game, so that should be good. Because he's good at artist, he can draw, and then it'll be better than what I've got there, which is basically just a placeholder for now. This HUD that's up there before, it's just the one I used in CubeGen. But something a bit more bespoke would look really awesome. And I think the idea I've had is that Donny does the HUD design, gives it to me, and then I'll digitize it somehow, or turn it into, I don't know, like just make it look good. But yeah, basically just flying around here, just checking it out. I think I really need to. One other thing I've got, which I started thinking about, was acceleration, getting faster with time. Yeah, that's that. Alright, bye.